You're watching Business Center with me, Fred Makori, and now I'm joined by with Grace Oluoch, who's the Chief Financial Officer, Bamburi Cement PLC. Karibu sana, Grace. How are you doing?
Thank you, Fred. I'm doing very well. It's a pleasure.
All right. It's also a pleasure, and thank you for making time and just having this discussion with us on Business Center. And let's get straight into it, Grace. The construction sector, despite everything in 2020 going into 2021, and even as we continue towards 2022, the performance has been impressive. I mean, when other sectors were reeling under the pressure of the pandemic, the construction sector did pretty well, so to speak. What can we attribute this to, especially looking at the case of Bamburi Cement PLC?
So I will look at the performance of Bamburi in two ways.
Yes.
First, the year 2020, when the impact of the pandemic was very high. Yeah? What you see with Bamburi's performance, which we've already published, is that the top line declined. We declined by 5% on the top line.
Yeah.
But if you look at our P&L, our bottom line grew. So this was on account of some deliberate actions that the company took. So for example, immediately Kenya announced its first case of the pandemic. The business huddled together, and we knew that we were going to be impacted in terms of top line. And we had to do something about it. So we had to mitigate the impact of loss of top line on the bottom line. So we brought out, or we invented this policy of health, cash, and cost, which was mainly to focus on those three areas. Health, basically to look after the health of our employees, our customers, and the communities that we operate in. We knew that with an impacted workforce, with the workforce that is exposed to COVID, we were not going to keep the business running. So we prioritized the health of our employees. So for those who did not have to be on site, we allowed them to work from home, as was also the directive by the government. For those who had to continue working, we had to put in measures like social distancing, masking, sanitizing, and all that. So we invested in that. And we just had to make sure that our employees were operating in a safe way. We even provided care packs to our employees and their families, you know, with gloves, masks, sanitizers, you know, thermometers, etc. So we really went out of our way to support our employees. We also went out of our way to support our customers, those who were continuing to operate. We launched a digital drive which would allow customers to order and get serviced without much physical contact. So we amplified this space, and we were able to continue serving our customers without exposing them and exposing our employees. We also supported the government initiative. You know, we contributed towards the COVID fund. We distributed care packs in our communities as well. And recently, even with the vaccination drive, we have supported our employees. We have also supported the communities around us, where we mobilized the vaccination and brought in people around us and just, you know, enhanced the government efforts in this space. Now back to 2020. So we focused on health. The other thing we looked at was cash. We knew that cash is king. And in moments like this, business, when they get deprived of cash, they cease to be going concern. So we focused on this area of cash, and we looked at our receivables, our payables, and what we could do better. The level of stocking, now that the level of sales had gone down, we reduced our inventory and so on. So we did a lot of work in that space. And lastly, cost optimization. We worked on cutting costs now that, for example, some of our employees, many of them were working from home. So costs like, office cleaning, all those things, tea, travel was, there was a lockdown, so there was minimum travel and all these things. So we put all these together and we were actually tracking each and every line to make sure that we were saving on costs where we didn't have to incur them or spend. Like now that we were digital on the selling front, then our salesmen were not running around burning fuel, etc. So we worked on the cost lines as well. And actually, in the end, you saw that in our 2020 performance, top line was down, but cash was up, bottom line was up. And that's exactly what we set out to do. Now, on the market side, I must say that we were also helped by just the way things are in the nature of our market. The individual home builder, I think now that everybody was at home one way or other, I think maybe Fred, if you're one such person, you'd say, okay, I can now spend some time on my small project here, extend my kitchen, do this. So we saw a rebound on the in-home, individual home builder sector. So many people started doing work here and there, and this created demand for cement.
Okay.
Yes.
And let's talk about this performance. Your top line declined, yes, but bottom line, of course, increased, and that resulted to your pre-tax profit also performing very well. Is this reflective of what was happening in the construction sector generally? How was that comparing?
I want to believe so, because if you see what happened in the construction sector, it was somewhat resilient in spite and despite of COVID. So I think you see that mirroring a lot also generally in the sector. Crossing into 2021, we've just published our half-year results, and you see our top line has grown by 21%. Part of this is recovery of what we lost last year, and part of it is just the general rebound of the construction sector. Both sectors are doing well, and usually the construction sector correlates directly with the growth in GDP. This year, the GDP for Kenya is projected at 4%. And so you see that being mirrored in the construction sector. You see on the key account sector, the big project sector, the government is really a big player in this space. And everybody can see it. I mean, look at what's going on out there. The expressway in Nairobi, for example, the very many projects, the Thwake Dam, Dongo Kundu bypass. So the government being a key player in this sector. And in Kenya, the government is driving the Big Four agenda, is also driving the resilience in the construction sector. So this also is a contributor.
All right. Still continuing and projected to grow. What are the projections? What are the growth rates? How is it projected even as we continue in this 2021? We are concluding and go into the future. How is it looking like in the sector?
So as I said, direct correlation with the GDP growth. So if into next year, the government is continuing to spend, and it is committed on the Big Four agenda, we will see this playing in the construction sector. This side of the world where we live in, we are an emerging urbanized community that reflects very well in the per capita consumption of cement. And of course, the emerging middle income that Kenya is, both as a country and also, if you just look at the community. And one of the biggest aspirations of the middle income is to own a house, for example, own a residence. So we are seeing this sector also being quite robust. So as long as the GDP continues to grow, I believe the construction sector will continue to grow.
It's sort of like they go in tandem.
They go in tandem, yes.
All right. And let me take you back to something that you had mentioned. You saw an upsurge in the individual home builders market. How is that expected to continue? It was just because of that period that we found ourselves in 2020. Is it something that, as far as projections are concerned, is going to be resilient as we go continue to this year and even next year?
Again, as I've said,
yeah.
Kenya is an emerging middle-income economy.
Yes.
So we've got a growing middle-income sector. Mm-hmm. If you look at the area of housing, mm-hmm. we don't have enough as yet in that sector. Yeah. So I believe this is an area that will continue to grow. Urbanization as well. And, you know, cement consumption actually correlates directly with the level of development, the level of influence, urbanization.
Yes.
So if you see, like, for example, the per capita consumption of cement in Kenya, which is about 143 kilos per annum, compared to, say, South Africa, which is at 260, and we don't even want to talk about China, which is 1,000. It tells you that we have quite some way to go. And cement is a good measure because it means you have roads, you have bridges, you have houses, you have infrastructure, ports, airports, whatever. So the higher the per capita consumption of cement, the higher the level of, I don't want to say affluence, but urbanization.
Because development, urbanization would be,
So if you see Kenya at about 143, South Africa at 260, the world average at about 560,
so we are
room and we can always grow. We have that space to grow because we are not there yet.
All right. So we have a lot of room for growth. That is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Elections gears have engaged, and we are in that space where people are traversing the country and asking Kenyans to vote for them. How does the electioneering period affect the construction sector based on experience, and is it going to affect the growth projection as we have looked at?
Yeah, so historically we've seen a bit of slowdown around about the election period. So like now we know they're going to be elections in August next year.
Yes.
So probably there will be a slowdown in the second half of next year. Reason I say the government is a key player.
Okay.
And now at a time of transition,
this slow down.
You know, naturally.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right. So other than that, everyone else, probably the rest of the people would want to continue with their small mjengos here and there.
But remember again, you know, there is the whole thing about the economy. So the ease of accessing credit, for example, for those of mortgages, etc. So again, the big picture still plays in. You know, how many people have jobs that can access mortgages and so on, and therefore can afford, etc. So it's one big picture. You can't really isolate this
and
from
say that
the
this
other.
one would be so it's exactly. Sort of like a joining ball all together.
Correct.
How does the future look like for Bamburi?
We are here to stay. we want to grow with Kenya. We want to participate in building Kenya. And so as long as Kenya is there, why shouldn't Bamburi be there? There will always be need for infrastructure. There will always be need for construction solutions, and we pride ourselves in providing construction solutions, not just cement, by the way. We are not a cement company. We are a construction solutions company. So we want to bring in innovation into the market in a sustainable way. Sustainability is a big deal for us. Because we have to be there tomorrow, and if not us, our children and our children's children. So we have brought in sustainability as part of our key pillar, our strategic pillar as Bamburi. And so we want to be there. We want to be part of the Kenyan story. And we have been in the past, and we will continue to be. Our logo is part of you from the start.
Exactly. Our part of you from the beginning.
From the beginning.
All right.
Thank you.
So now, I just want to throw in something. You said you're a construction solutions company. Building solutions company. Now, let me just throw in a simple, pick your brain on this. We've seen a lot of issues with the construction that people are doing out here, and leading to a lot of collapses of buildings around. I just want to weigh in. What is your opinion now as Grace, as far as this whole issue is concerned?
You mean the quality of...
The quality of construction that is taking place nowadays, which is obviously leading to a lot of buildings that are collapsing around here.
Yeah, so in this space, there are many players.
Yeah.
Not just, solution providers.
Yes.
We have the government, the regulator,
Mm-hmm.
for example.
Yeah.
We've got the professionals, the architects, the engineers, and so on. So there are many players here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is room and opportunity for these stakeholders to work together
yes,
in making sure that the quality of the construction is up to standard.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are talking about lives. We have instances where collapsing buildings are killing people.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also talking about loss of investment. That's a huge loss. If you put up a structure up to the 4th, 5th story and then it comes collapsing down, it's a big loss. So I think the key stakeholders in this sector should come together, including, the government, the government agencies like CABS, making sure that all the regulations are enforced, that the standards are in place, and all the players, play by the rules.
Yes.
And I think this is really where we lose it as Kenyans. For example, I said, in Bamburi, we are not a cement company.
Yes.
We are a construction or buildings solutions company.
Yes.
There is a standard. If you're putting up a bungalow, there's a standard that you must stick to in terms of the strength of cement, the columns, etc.
Yeah.
So, as we always say, simiti si simiti.
Simiti me.
So you got to make sure the professionals in this industry play their part. If you look at our product offerings, we don't have one standard product. We have an array of products that fit different
demands
and application needs.
Yes.
So then you need that expertise to know, what do I do
if I want this particular need?
A maisonette, a bungalow, a skyscraper, a what, or even like now the expressway. Are you seeing those columns that are suspending the road up there? There are different kind of cement that's specifically made for that purpose.
All right.
If you look at dams, we are giving a different kind of cement that is waterproof, so there's no leakage and so on. There was the other day, a dam in Nakuru broke its banks, and people were killed. Again, there is a particular type of cement that you use for that
dams.
purpose. And I think this is really where the Kenyans have to come to the realization that construction is technical. There are professionals in it, and we as Bamburi, as a player in this sector, we also provide the advice and the solution. So use the right thing for the right purpose.
All right.
Follow the right
procedures. Yes.
Stick to the rules and the regulations, and everybody will be happy.
Exactly.
Yes.
Sawa. Thank you. I'm being told that we are running out of time, but in 30 seconds, any closing remarks?
Thank you for this opportunity. All I want to say is that as Bamburi, we are committed to the development of this country, to the well-being of Kenyans, and we will continue to serve Kenyans in a sustainable way and to be part of the Kenyan growth story.
Thanks a lot, Grace. That's Grace Oluoch, who's the Chief Financial Officer, Bamburi Cement PLC, having a discussion on how they've performed as a company and generally how the construction sector is going on in our country, Kenya. At this point, we are going to take yet another break, but remember, you can continue this discussion at Metropole TV KE, at Metropole TV KE, and at Fred Makori. And let's hear what your thoughts are and give us your feedback. We'd like to hear. See you after the break.